Hi guys, so today I'm going to be filming my second installment, that felt very official, of my age series. That's what I'm calling it right now. So I just did the perfect fragrances for your 20s and I might do it up until your 50s. I don't really think there's many 60, 70, 80 year olds that watch me, so I might just cap it off at 50. Now, I really just want to say something, and you can fast forward this if you want to, but the comment section of my 20s video was interesting to say the least. So many of you guys do not believe that I'm 20 years old. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the comments kind of did get to me a little bit after the 12th comment saying that I looked 30. It started to get to me a little bit because, guys, I've never been mistaken for being 30 years old in real life. I believe that I look around 25 maybe, but I do not look 30, and I think that that's a far stretch. And to be honest with you guys, I was brought up by my mum, who told me never to comment on somebody's age. Don't comment on people's age. It's just not something that you do, and that was how I was brought up. So I never comment on anybody's age. So when I got all these comments that were like, you literally look 30 years old, and I know some of you guys didn't mean it in that way. I'm just saying, I did find some of the comments to be a little offensive. So I'm not 30, I'm 20. Let's move on. Today, what I'm going to be doing is the perfect fragrances for your 30s, aka me. Basically today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the same concept. So 5 fragrances for women in their 30s and 5 fragrances for men in their 30s. Now, this was hard, this was definitely hard for me to put together, but I feel really happy with my choices. So Guerlain's Mon Guerlain. Now to me, this smells like a beautiful, put together woman who has a family, a husband. She's beautiful, she's elegant, she's very feminine, and has her life together. Let me just say, she has her life together, but she's still got a beautiful side to her, a very kind of sensual, sexy side to her. To me, this fragrance is an aromatic vanilla. I get a lot of vanilla in this fragrance. It's quite powdery because it features a note of iris. It has a little bit of a cleanness there, a bit of a sharpness. There's definitely the lavender note in this fragrance, but it doesn't smell like lavender in a men's fragrance. It's really done beautifully and very soft and subtle. But to me, like I said, it is an aromatic vanilla. I find vanilla to be quite a sexy note in fragrance, and you definitely get the vanilla in this sense. Mon Guerlain is absolutely perfect for a woman in her 30s. Like a wife. That smells like a wife to me. Okay, so the next fragrance that I have here is Christian Dior's La Colle Noire. Now, I've said this before, but this fragrance reminds me of beauty gurus. Imagine the really perfect put together beauty gurus like Desi Perkins, Annie Jaffrey, there's one that starts with L. Oh, I'm not gonna go into it now, but this reminds me of the perfect prim and proper beauty gurus. Very light, very fresh, watery, a little bit spicy, a little bit musky, but it's a very fresh, watery, clean, bright rose scent, and it is just absolutely stunning. The only quibble that I have with this fragrance is that the longevity is not the best, but I kind of overspray this one and then it does last a little bit longer, but I would still say that the lasting power is around 4 to 5 hours on my skin. It smells very flirty to me, it's a very flirty, light, playful fragrance for a woman in her 30s. Maybe she likes to wear dresses. Like I said, a beautiful, perfect looking beauty guru has beautiful makeup and hair all the time. This is the fragrance for that woman. So the next one we have here is Chanel's Coco Noir. Now this was tricky because I could have put Coco Mademoiselle in here. I could have put Allure. The fragrance that I went for and chose is Coco Noir from Chanel. Now to me, this fragrance is the perfect fragrance from Chanel for a woman in her 30s. I would choose my other fragrances from Chanel for different ages, maybe a bit older, but Coco Noir to me smells like a working woman in her 30s. She's still got a bit of a sexiness, but she's very, very professional, hardworking. She's on the go and she's making that coin. That is what this fragrance reminds me of, a lot. It's oriental, it's rose, it's patchouli, it's strong, it's got a little bit of an incense kind of resinous vibe to it. There's a bit of a sweetness in the base. I'm pretty sure there's vanilla and benzoin maybe in there as well. But it's a beautiful oriental fragrance, a little bit powdery, like I said, spicy, incense. It's just absolutely incredible. Rose and patchouli are at the forefront, but because it has that mix of all of those oriental notes, it just makes it so beautiful, very sexy, very mature, very professional, a woman on the go, like I said. This fragrance has a special place in my heart because it was definitely the first fragrance from Chanel that I fell in love with, and it's still a fragrance that I will always have in my collection forever. Like when I finish this bottle, I'll go on to repurchase because it's just a fragrance that resonates with me, like I said, on the go, and that's how I like to think of myself, so yeah. Okay, so the next fragrance that I have here is a bit more of a sexy one. This is Tom Ford's Noir Pour Femme. Now, I was kind of deciding whether I wanted to put Tobacco Vanille in here for a bit more of a bad girl in her 30s who's a bit more like demanding, commanding, you know, she knows what she wants, she's a little bit more sexually confident, but I went for Noir Pour Femme because for me, something about this fragrance screams a woman in her 30s, somebody who's very sexy, like a spicy amber scent with some woodiness in the base, very, very sexy stuff here. You get vanilla, amber, spices, oriental. It is just absolutely amazing, and to me, it's more of a, what's the word, like a bit of a sexually confident woman in her 30s. Like I definitely get that vibe from this fragrance. Maybe she's 30 but she still parties a little bit. She still is a little bit like, you know what I'm saying? She's a woman in her 30s but she still knows how to have a good time. That's this fragrance right here. So my last fragrance is Christian Dior's Addict Eau de Parfum. Now the 30s, the women in their 30s have got one of my favorite fragrances ever. Like, you guys have it. This is Dior Addict, one of the sexiest fragrances that I own, period. This fragrance is incredibly sexy to me, and for me, it fits a woman in her 30s. She is a businesswoman, she is successful, she is rich. Like, I'm just gonna put it flat out there. This woman is rich, but she is very, very sexual. Yeah, this smells like luxury to me. It is creamy. I've never smelled a fragrance so smooth and creamy in my life. Like, I think that this is one of my smoothest, creamiest fragrances, Dior Addict. It's just the most sophisticated way that I've ever smelled vanilla in a fragrance. Usually vanilla goes very sweet and gourmand and edible and maybe a little bit juvenile, maybe. But in this fragrance, it's done in a way that it smells rich and creamy. It's got a beautiful white floral. I think there's jasmine and orange blossom, I think. But to me, it's just, you can't even distinguish what white florals are in there. It just smells like a beautiful balance of both of them have come together into a fragrance. It almost smells like a rich cheesecake. To me, it's just heavenly. Right, so moving on to the men. The first fragrance that I'm going to talk about is Acquadigio Profumo from Giorgio Armani. Now, to me, this is the epitome of a man, a working man in his 30s. It's strong, it's aggressive. It actually is an aggressive fragrance. It's very in your face, like you can notice this fragrance, you smell it, it's there. It has that aquatic freshness that the original has, but it has different notes that kind of make it really strong with the patchouli and the incense. It's very, very, like I said, strong, pungent, in your face. Now I have to say something. These two fragrances, this is the man, this is the wife, and they are a power couple. Like, let me just say that. Coco Noir from Chanel, it has rose, patchouli, incense again, resins. It's very sexy, but it's also like a professional scent. These two would be a couple and they would be killing it. Highly recommend this one. It's a working man who's grinding every single day. He wears a business suit. He is a businessman, and that is Acquadigio Profumo. Right, so the next one is one of my favorites, and let's just breeze through this. You guys already know Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male. If I had to recommend Le Male to one specific age group, just one, I would recommend it to a man in his 30s. It does have that kind of sweet, I hate saying it, but like Playboy kind of scent to it, but it's got a maturity to it because this fragrance kind of resembles a barbershop scent. It has kind of those typical notes that are in barbershop fragrances, which are from back in the day. Barbershop scents were a thing a really long time ago. I feel like we're getting more and more now in the fragrance community, but they were a big thing a long time ago. So this fragrance does have some, nuances to it that make it feel very familiar, but it has that sexy, seductive vanilla tonka bean in there that makes it sexy and a little bit playboyish. So I would say this is a guy in his 30s who's very, very, very sexy, and he does still like to have a little bit of a good time. He works really hard, but he knows how to have a good time. This guy's a little bit stiff, but this guy knows how to have a good time. So Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, if you don't know how it smells, like I just said, it's kind of like a barbershop scent. It's very strong again and aggressive, but it has that beautiful, sexy, seductive sweetness that makes it very attractive, let me just say that. My next fragrance that I recommend for a man in his 30s is a more recent fragrance to my collection. And let me tell you guys that this may be one of my favorite fragrances for a man that I have ever smelled in my entire life. I know I say that a lot, but I probably have about 5 fragrances for a man that are my ultimate favorites, and this is one of them. This is from Parfum de Marly. Like I said, I recently just acquired this fragrance, and this is Carlisle. This and Leighton are like on par. I have to spend a little bit more time with this fragrance to see if I like it better than Leighton, but right now I am slightly convinced that I like this fragrance a little bit more than Leighton, and I cannot believe that it's taken me so long to try this fragrance, because wow, yeah, wow. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. This fragrance is absolutely incredible, and I would say 100% this has a lot of similarities with Leighton. They don't smell close enough to be the same, or they don't smell close enough to have one and not have the other. I would definitely say it's worth owning both of them. They smell different enough to own both, but they definitely have some similarities. Like, I would say if you like Leighton, you would absolutely love Carlisle. There's no chance that you would not like this one, because they do, like I said, smell quite similar, but there's a beautiful patchouli note in here. Oh my god, this fragrance is insane. I was surprised when I looked up the notes that there's not vanilla in here. I actually was quite surprised. There is guaiac wood, cardamom, orange, violet. I can't remember what else is in there, but I was surprised to see no vanilla, because there's definitely like a beautiful, the same little kind of vanilla touch that's in Leighton is in here. This one is a beautiful, creamy, spicy, little bit sweet, very, very sexy. Let me say, very sexy. If I had to put an age on Carlisle, I would say 30s. If I had to put an age on Leighton, I would say 20s. You all have to go out and get this fragrance because it smells insane. The next fragrance that I recommend for a guy in his 30s is Yves Saint Laurent La Nuit de l'Homme. Now, you guys already know this is like one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I even love it so much that I try to wear it myself. It does smell sexier on a guy, but I don't really care. La Nuit de l'Homme, oh my good god. It almost has a little bit of a fruitiness to it, like a little bit of an apple fruitiness, like a vanilla apple fruitiness, with some spiciness. It's got lavender. I don't know if there's cardamom in here, but there's definitely a beautiful woody base to it as well. Sexy, sexy, sexy stuff. Like, when I say sexy, I mean sexy. This guy is a little bit more mature. He has his life together a little bit more. He wears a suit. He has a beautiful wife, and he wears La Nuit de l'Homme, and he is the sexiest guy. Let me say, the sexiest smelling guy in the entire world. My last fragrance for a guy in his 30s is Bentley for Men Intense. Now, I only recently smelled this one, and me and my sister both fell in love with it, and I have to say, yeah, this is a mature guy in his 30s who goes to like kind of like cigar bars, and he drinks scotch, and he's very masculine, and he has a lot of money, and he's very, very, very attractive. He's a very sexy guy, and he's a little bit of a don't touch me sort of guy. This is boozy, it's leather, it's spicy, it's sweet. It's got a little bit of a yumminess to it as well. It is just an amazing fragrance. Woody, masculine, leather, boozy, spicy. Get on it if that sounds like your type of fragrance. Bentley for Men Intense for a guy in his 30s. So yeah, really sorry for the rant at the beginning. It's just, I don't know, when you start getting comments like that, like one after the other, after the other, after the other, it does kind of tend to affect you a little bit. So I'm sorry about my rant. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.